Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. As we get more information on what's in store for us in the Rise of the Duelist set, it would appear that Gaia isn't the only Fierce Knight that will be gracing the set list. First appearing in the Warrior Strike Restructure deck, the Flame Noble Knight theme has been given a fleshed out roster of powerful paladins to rekindle the archetype. Now, normally, when talking about updates to older themes, I'd go over the older cards so that we're all on the same page, but in this case, there are so many disparate Noble Knight and Noble Arms cards that we'd be here forever talking about things like Noble Knights of the Round Table and AVALON, so let's just go over the general strategy. Previously, Noble Knights were all about implementing a Protect the Castle playstyle, which may not have been the best versus literally any kaiju, but it is thematically appropriate. Optimal lines of play would involve spamming material to summon either of the Artorigus Xyz monsters, while throwing an armory's worth of Noble Arms into the grave that the once-in-future king can equip once he hits the board. The best thing about this was that you could adapt Artorigus' power to suit the situation. Throwing out cards like Gallatin and Caliburn could boost your attack to overwhelm your opponent, but if you're afraid of removal, you could always equip Destiny or Excalibur. However, the deck never saw widespread competitive success. A number of choke points in the combo, combined with a lack of consistency once Rhoda was limited, "Thanks, Teller Knights! You're not even real knights!" meant that any amount of interaction could stop you in your tracks. And a deck focused around putting a bunch of equips onto a single monster meant that you stood to lose a lot of tempo once your opponent finally managed to break through. More recent releases in the form of Ivan and Kustenin sought to fix these issues by providing extra summons and tokens, as well as the Immaculate Isolde being a better combo piece than Boars ever could be. It even claimed some regional success, which always puts a smile on my face. However, it would appear that we have reached the last chapter of the Noble Knights. The story of King Arthur and his successors fades into myth, but when one legend steps down, another must step up. It's time to go over Charlamagne and his 12 peers, introducing Flame Noble Knights. To start, every Flame Noble Knight revealed thus far is a fire attribute warrior type monster. Let's start with the level 1s and work our way up from there. Roland has 500 attack and defense, and you can equip it to any monster you control as a quick effect from your hand, giving the equipped monster a 500 attack boost. Also, during the end phase, if Roland is in the grave because he was sent there that turn, you can search any fire warrior monster or equip spell from your deck and add it to your hand. A tad slow on the search, but it is a nice way to keep your longevity across turns, and an extra 500 can do wonders for your battle phase. Renaud has 500 attack and 200 defense, and if you control a fire warrior monster, you can special summon them from your hand, and if you do so, it's treated as a tuner while it's on the field. And if that wasn't enough, if it's special summoned by any means, you can target one of your fire warrior monsters that are banished or in your grave, and add them to your hand. This guy's bonkers! And they don't impose any restrictions either, so it makes great Halka-Fibrax fodder. It helps recycle your resources, and with the new Synchro focus, the court welcomes a good level 1 tuner like this. The last level 1 is Astolfo, also rocking 500 attack and 200 defense. You can special summon them from your hand by banishing any fire warrior monster from your hand or grave, and if you do, you can change their level to match the banished monster. Also, you can banish Astolfo from your grave, and during the second standby phase after activation, you can resummon them from your banished zone, along with any fire warrior monster that's in your grave or is currently banished. The twist of lime here is that you can only activate each effect once per duel, so use them wisely. The once per duel restriction does seem a bit like overkill, but having another special summon, along with a delayed +2, is hard to turn your nose up at. Next we have our level 4s. Ogier has 1500 attack and 2000 defense, and can Foolish Burial any fire warrior or noble arms when they're normal or special summoned. If they're in the grave, you can equip Ogier to any warrior you control, and grants immunity to effect destruction while equipped to a monster. This effect is great for getting dead draw noble arms out of your deck, but even better is the ability to Foolish any member of your team. Ogier is not the last Flame Noble Knight that can equip to a monster from the grave, and this effect will be crucial for building up your boss monster later in the game. Olivier is a tuner with 1000 attack and 1500 defense. You can special summon them from your hand by sending any fire warrior or equip spell that's in your hand or face up on your field to the grave, and if you do, its level becomes 1. It can also equip itself to a warrior from the grave, preventing your opponent from targeting the equipped monster with card effects. So, aside from just being a better Excalibur, the fact that this is a tuner that can modulate its level is awesome. You'll generally want it to be level 1 for your basic plays, but being able to use it as a level 4 will have its own niche applications as well. Maugis has 1500 attack and 1000 defense. If they're sent to the grave, you can shuffle 3 other Fire Warrior monsters and or Noble Arms cards from among your grave or banished zone into your deck, then draw 1 card. Also, they can equip themselves from the grave to a warrior you control, granting the equipped monster immunity to battle destruction. This is probably the weakest of the 3 equip abilities, but definitely welcome as a way to keep your engine from running out of gas while keeping your hand stocked up. 2 things to note here. 1, while Maugis can be hit by Called by the Grave, they can't do so to any of the cards you want to shuffle back because they're returned as cost. 2, it doesn't care from where it goes to the grave, just that it gets there. So you can equip it to any warrior just to link it off so that you can draw a free card. How cool is that? Next we have our boss monsters. Roland makes a comeback as Vanguard Roland, a level 5 Synchro Tuner. Man, Halka Fibrax keeps looking better and better. They're rocking 2000 attack and 500 defense. And if they're synchro summoned, you can activate an effect that will resolve during the end phase, letting you send any equip from your deck to the grave to add any warrior from your deck to your hand. Also, Vanguard Roland retains their ability to boost another warrior's power. Equipping to a warrior you control from the grave is a quick effect during any main phase, granting the equipped monster a 500 attack boost. It'll be clear soon that Vanguard is a rung in a synchro ladder, so while its effects on board are pretty tame in a vacuum, it does an admirable job of playing the support. The delayed effect resolution means that it doesn't have to stay on the field until the end phase to get your free card, though it would have been nice if you'd just gotten it instantly. And the 500 attack boost means that any monster you control can become even more of a powerhouse turn after turn. The biggest, baddest boss monster, though, is Flame Noble Knight Emperor Charlamagne. Or Charle for short. They're a level 9 synchro monster with 3000 attack and 200 defense. If any monster on the field becomes equipped with an equipped spell, Charle can destroy 1 card on the field without targeting. Also, during each end phase, you can equip any equipped spell from your hand or grave to Charle, then equip any Fire Warrior from your deck to him, treating that monster as an equipped spell that grants 500 attack. They're massive, they blow up cards, and they get bigger and stronger every turn. Plus, with a little creative application from your Noble Arms, this Sovereign Supreme can end the game on the spot. Now, let's take a look at the new additions to the armory. The Flame Noble Arms are interesting. They don't provide any kind of continuous effect, but rather they have an ignition effect that gives you a bonus before blowing themselves up, and a trigger effect that happens if it's sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster was sent to the grave. But a big plus is that they don't have any equipment restrictions, so you can slap them on anything. The big minus is that you can only use 1 effect per turn and only once per turn. Durandal can add any level 5 or lower Fire Warrior from your deck to your hand, then blows itself up. If the equipped monster is sent to the grave, you can target and revive any level 5 or lower Fire Warrior monster from your grave, but you're locked into warrior summons for the rest of the turn. The first effect is pretty cool, as it acts like another searcher for the theme. However, until more Fire Warriors come out, the revival effect doesn't actually seem all that good. The closest thing I can think of to a good combo would be something like summoning Blue Flame Swordsman. It can give you a nifty attack boost, and then you can crash into any other monster to revive any Fire Warrior, including Charle and God Phoenix Gearfried. Hauteclair grants a monster you control a double attack before blowing up, though it does limit you to attacking with only that monster. And if the equipped monster is sent to the grave, you can target and destroy 1 face-up monster on the field. It's decidedly less versatile than Charm's destruction effect, but I think it makes for a nice retaliation, attaching it to something that your opponent really wants to get rid of otherwise, or as free removal in a Link, Synchro, or Linkro Ladder Climb. The last Flame Noble Arm is Joyeuse, and it can add any Fire Warrior from your grave to your hand, and then blows itself up. If it's sent to the grave because the equipped monster was sent to the grave, you can special summon 1 Fire Warrior monster from your hand. Notably, this doesn't lock you into any kind of summon, so this particular arms is really great at leveraging a monster-heavy opening hand, either by recycling important pieces to use later, or by acting as an extender. The last card revealed for the theme is actually not name-stamped for it, so that's already a good sign. Olifant Horn is a normal trap that has 2 modes. You can either banish an equipped spell from your field or graveyard to destroy any other card on the field, or you can destroy a Roland monster you control to summon up to 3 Fire Warrior monsters from your deck in defense position, whose total levels equal 9, but their effects are negated, and you're locked into warrior summons until the end of your next turn, so there's no getting around this by activating it during your opponent's turn. Now, mechanically, this card is actually kind of playable due to its flexibility. The second effect requires a very narrow range of play sequences to pull off, but its first effect to blow up a card makes it kind of like an unsearchable Charlamagne Great Rage. Though, to be fair, the searchability of that card is largely the reason why it's so good. But I think it's safe to say that this card was printed more to tie the theme more strongly to the Charlamagne lore than to be competitively viable. See, while Charlamagne was a real person, there are a lot of fictionalized accounts of him in his court of knights, much like the Knights of the Round Table, and one such account is the Song of Roland. To summarize, because doing an in-depth analysis of story connections would double the length of this video, during Roland's final battle, overrun by the opposing army, he seeks to do two things. First, he attempts to destroy his personal blade Durandal so that it doesn't fall into enemy hands. This lines up pretty well with the first effect, trading an equip spell for some destruction. Though, notably, Roland is unable to destroy the blade because it's so heckin' awesome. Also, as a last-ditch effort, Roland uses his Olifant Horn to call for backup from Charlamagne with all his might, but he blows on the horn so hard that he dies. And that's why the monster you destroy has to be a Roland monster. And summoning up 9 total levels of Fire Warriors can be seen as the first wave of reinforcements arriving, followed by Emperor Charle hitting the field because you have the perfect levels of synchro materials to summon him. It's crazy the kinds of things you learn about real-world mythology from Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I wish that Paladin literally having his mind blown from tooting a horn was not one of them. But also it's the best thing ever. So now that we've gone over all of the new Flame Noble Knights and their companions, let's go over a few other cards to keep in mind during deck building. God Phoenix Gearfried is kind of an honorary Flame Noble Knight. Its type and attribute are absolutely perfect, and its equipment theming mixes really well with a theme that's defined by their equip spells. It also gives the Archetype monster effect negation, as well as one of the most impressive removal options in the game. It's a real shame that we're not getting the Warrior Restructure deck, its new cards presumably folded into the Toon Chaos set, but if it's easy to get a hold of, I would not be surprised to see this card headlining the deck as its true boss monster. Crossover is a great removal spell for the theme. As long as you can target an opponent's monster, Crossover equips that monster to any warrior you control, making it act like a union monster, letting you destroy the equip in place of the warrior if it would be destroyed. The only drawback is that your opponent doesn't take any damage from the warrior you targeted for the rest of the turn, but if you just use it as material for another summon, you won't have to worry about it. Rekindling can hit a few of the monsters in your theme, including Emperor Charle, so it might be useful for that aspect alone, letting you leverage all of their effects and then linking them away so you don't lose those material forever. Because of the equipable nature of many of the Flame Noble Knights, a number of the original Noble Arms are just obsolete. I don't think I'll be playing cards like Caliburn, Destiny, or Excaliburn, but Arfaduder is still pretty important to helping bait set cards so your opponent can't wait to spring them on you at the worst time. But the best one to keep in mind right now is Clarent. Its ability to let you attack directly, combined with Haute-Claire's double attack, means you can swing in for lethal damage quite easily in this deck. The two Roland monsters can give either Charle or God Phoenix Gearfried the extra attack boost it needs to reach 4,000, meaning the rest of the deck can be tailored specifically towards clearing out your opponent's threats going second, or building a board that puts your opponent in a bad spot for follow-up plays. This effectively makes the deck another kind of Protect the Castle type theme, but the kick here is that you can actually end the game immediately without giving your opponent any time to unseat you. While the Flame Noble Knights are not the same brotherhood of chivalry as their cousins, they have a number of powerful, interlocking effects that look to take out your opponent in one shot, and that's pretty crazy. Do these new paladins light a fire in you like they did me? Do you have any ideas or suggestions for the deck moving forward? Are you planning on dropping nearly $100 to get one of these ridiculously lackluster Noble Knights of the Round Table box sets? Trust me, as someone who bought 3 of these things back when they were at regular retail price and the Noble Knight hype was high, they're not worth it. Like, at all. And this is the point where I had planned to do some shilling, but I can't do so in good conscience without bringing up recent events. The Fulfillment Center employees of TCG Player, one of the foremost distributors of trading card game products for several games, have come together to form a union to combat dangerous and unfair working conditions, all while wages fail to keep up with the increasing cost of living. As someone who both loves card games and has endured their own indignities working at a fulfillment center, this cause means a lot to me, and I hope it does to you as well. An important note is that there has not been a call for a boycott, and with recent pressures of the coronavirus making an already stressful situation increasingly terrifying, putting the workers' source of income at risk isn't currently the answer. So, if you already planned on making any purchases with TCG Player, please feel free to do so with a clear conscience. However, I would encourage you to show your support however you can. You can follow them on Twitter at TCGUnion, and if you do make a purchase, I would encourage you to raise awareness however you can. Keep an ear out for any calls to action, share this information with anyone who loves card games, let TCG Player know you support the union in a polite but stern manner on the social media platform of your choice, even email the CEO of TCG Player at the address on screen, chidi@tcgplayer.com, to politely request that they protect the safety of their workers amid the current public health crisis and allow mail-in elections for deciding the recognition of the union, or whatever else you feel comfortable with doing. And with that said, thank you all so very much for watching, and double thank you for listening to my call to solidarity. I know things like this can be uncomfortable to listen to, especially if you are just expecting to listen to an informative and perhaps fun video about knights who don't really get that you don't have to literally light yourself on fire to be on fire, so I very much appreciate your understanding. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.